4th of July isn't what you think it is. Every year, Americans light fireworks, fire up the grill, and celebrate their independence on July 4th. But here's the thing, that date is almost an accident. The real story of Independence Day is stranger and, honestly, a little more unsettling than the fireworks let on. Let's start with the date itself, because it's wrong. Not wrong in a wild conspiracy sense, but wrong in the sense that the people who actually lived through it didn't think July 4th was the important day at all. The vote for independence, the actual moment the Continental Congress decided to break from Britain, happened on July 2nd, 1776. John Adams was so certain this was the date history would remember that he wrote to his wife Abigail, telling her that July 2nd would be celebrated with, in his words, pomp and parade for generations to come. He even said future Americans would mark it with games, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of the continent to the other. He was right about basically everything, except the date. History picked July 4th instead, the day the written declaration was formally adopted. And here's where it gets even messier. Most of the delegates didn't actually sign the document on July 4th either. The famous signing, the one with John Hancock's giant signature, mostly happened on August 2nd, nearly a month later. July 4th is simply the date printed at the top of the finished document. The public didn't even hear it read aloud until July 8th, outside the Pennsylvania State House in Philadelphia. So the date we celebrate isn't the vote, and isn't the signing, it's the print date. Now here's where the story turns from historical technicality into something genuinely eerie. 50 years later, 50 years to the day, on July 4th, 1826, two of the men most responsible for that document died. Thomas Jefferson, the Declaration's primary author, died that morning at his home in Monticello. Later that same day, hundreds of miles away in Massachusetts, John Adams died too, not knowing Jefferson was already gone. Adams's last words are said to have been, "Thomas Jefferson survives." He didn't. Two founding fathers, two former presidents, once rivals, later friends, dying hours apart on the 50th anniversary of the country they helped create. If that were the whole story, it'd already be one of the strangest coincidences in American history. But it's not the whole story. 5 years later, in 1831, James Monroe, the 5th President of the United States, also died on July 4th. That's 3 of America's first 5 presidents, all gone on the exact same calendar date, Independence Day itself. And as if the universe wanted balance, there's one more name to add. Calvin Coolidge, the 30th president, is the only U.S. president ever born on July 4th, in 1872. 3 presidents died on the day. 1 was born on it. There's no eerie force at work here, no hidden pattern beyond probability and the fact that America has had a lot of presidents living long, symbolic lives. But it's the kind of detail that, once you know it, you can't stop thinking about every July 4th for the rest of your life. One more small twist before we go. Fireworks weren't a later tradition tacked onto the holiday. Philadelphia set off fireworks for the very first Independence Day anniversary in 1777, while the Revolutionary War was still being fought and while the outcome was still very much in doubt. They were celebrating a country whose independence hadn't even been secured yet. So next time the fireworks go up, remember, you're celebrating a print date, not a vote or a signature, in honor of a document 3 presidents happened to die on, exactly 50 years apart. History is rarely as clean as the fireworks make it look.